Okay. Very good morning, guys. Last day we just been learnt about interfaces, how to define the interfaces, and how to define the interfaces is what we saw, and how to consume that interfaces, multiple inheritance, all these things I shown you. So now today we need to understand about this one. Where exactly do we use interfaces in our applications? So what is it? Where exactly do we use interfaces in our applications? Where interfaces are used in the real time, in the application development, where interfaces are used. So let's try to understand about that particular concept here. Say, when I explained you about the ATM system case study for you, deleted. Yeah. When I explained about this ATM system case study to you, I just been explained all these things, guys. What's it? First thing is we have the ATM machines. What is installed on the ATM machine? Open the mouth here. What do you install on the ATM machine? Louder. The lightweight UI. We just install the lightweight UI on the ATM machine. Fine. Now we have one more machine called application server. And what do we install on the application server? Open the mouth. See, read there. Concentrate. What do we install? The business logic. The business logic classes are installed on the application server. Database server. We install the tables and all. And we discuss like all these three computers are going to communicate or connect with each other. All these three computers are going to be connecting with each other. First you go to ATM machine, swipe your card. When you swipe your card, what happens? The card reader will read you the ID, sends to application server. Application server will create a instance. And once after application server is going to create an instance, now then it jumps to, it will connect to database server, loads the data, initializes. I shown you application server will initialize all the memory for you now. Okay, I shown the picture also. Understood? So you can just see the application server loading all the data. We'll analyze all these things I explained. Okay. Now, yeah, I explained about instances, references also. First, application server will create an instance, and then the reference of that instance will be sent to client computer. The reference to that instance will be sent to what? Client computer. Okay. And the client computer captures it and then starts calling the methods. Now, what is the instance C1? And what is the reference? R1. R1 is a reference that is coming back to the client computer, and the client will capture that reference and start calling the methods. This is what I explained all these things to you. Is it clear or not? This is what I given you an explanation. Okay, fine. Now, tell me a simple question. What's it? I have a method that returns a string. I have a method that returns a string. How do you capture the value? Open the mouth and speak louder. Don't whisper in the mouth. You're not LKG students. A simple question here. I have a method that returns a string. How do you capture that value? Speak louder. How do you capture that value? Using a string variable. Why you use array? You lost your brain or what? Returning a string and you'll use an array. You'll just declare a string variable and capture. Yeah, simple answer. You're not using your brains at all. What is that? Louder. Not string variable. Declare a string variable and capture. That is the answer. What is that? Declare a string variable and capture. I have a method returning an int value. Come on, answer. Declare a int variable and capture. I have a method that returns a customer value. Declare a customer variable. That's all. String is a class, customer is a class. That's all. So basically, you understand. If it returns a string, we declare it string variable capture. Returns a integer. Declare a integer variable capture. Declares a customer. Returns a customer. Declare a customer variable and capture. Are you following me? Okay. Now see, in this case, I already explained that application server will create an instance and sends a reference to that instance to the client now. Sends what? A reference to the instance. Means server is returning what? Now not method here. In the place of method server. Server is returning what? Server is returning a customer. What is the server returning? So how should I capture? By declaring a customer variable. By declaring a customer variable. Look at this. Now, if you look on this, look here. Now, server will return you customer. So, what should I do? I need to declare a customer variable. Customer something, any name I like. R1 is equals to. Okay. I need to just capture the value. Capture the customer reference returned by server. Understood or not? So what should I do? I need to declare a variable now and capture it now. So once I capture, automatically R1 is a reference and I can call the methods. I can call the method now. Did you understand my point or not? Yes or not? Now tell me one thing. If you want to declare a variable of any class or if you want to declare a variable of any type, do you need that the type should be present on your machine or not? Tell me confidently. Yes, minimum common sense, guys. That is, without, see, you want to eat something, you want to eat chocolate. Chocolate should be present for you. Without that, you cannot assume like you're eating a chocolate. So exactly, if at all you want to create the variable of a type, the variable of any type, the type should be existing on your machine. Point clear to all or not? The type should be existing on your machine. But here very clearly explained you on that day. Am I installing the customer class on the ATM machine? Come on, I written here. Am I installing the customer class on the ATM machine? You're not installing now? Where are you installing? If it is installed on application server, now tell me this is invalid or not? Invalid or not? That's invalid. Why it is invalid? The class is not there here. The class is not there on your machine. The class without existing on your machine, you cannot create a variable of any class. Not possible. So the class is not existing on your machine. Now creating a variable of the class is invalid. Did you catch my point or not? I cannot do that. If I want to do, here I need to install a lightweight UI and now it is valid. Are you getting my point? So what should I install? The UI plus customer. If both are installed on the ATM, then this is valid. But on the day I said, I want to install this. What is installed is only UI. If only UI is installed, this is not valid. You cannot do this. Are you people clearer or not? You cannot do this at all. This is invalid code now. Am I clear? So to resolve it, what is the solution? Install the customer class on the client computer. To resolve the problem, what is the solution? Install the customer class on the client computer. We can install the customer class. Once we install the customer class on the client computer, the problem gets resolved. Is it clearer, all of you? Once we install the customer class on the client computer, the problem gets resolved. Your problem gets resolved once you install the customer class on the client computer. Point clearer or not? Understood me? Okay, so fine. So now the point all of you have to understand is, the point all of us have to understand in this particular case is, installing the customer class on the ATM machine have a drawback. Installing the customer class on the ATM machine have a drawback. What is the drawback? First drawback is, we have so many ATM machines here, not one machine or two machines, hundreds of machines, thousands of machines. If I install the customer class on the ATM, whenever I modify the code in the class, that is logic here, logic can have changes in the future. Whenever I make modifications to the class, I need to reinstall this class on all the 10,000 or 20,000 ATM machines you have. Am I right? Yes or not? And where these ATMs are, or do you have the ATM systems in your office? Where they are? Railway station, bus stand, cinema theaters, shopping malls, airports, on road. Will you update all these machines now? Will you go there, 10,000 machines, you will go there and update? And you update on one machine, did not update on another machine, problem now. All the 10,000 machines should be updated at a time. Means you need 10,000 people to do that. You need 10,000 people to do that now. Did you catch my point or not? So did you understand the problem of installing? So whenever there is an updation, all these machines has to be updated. And that's going to be a lengthy and a time-taking process. Updating one machine is easy, but not updating all the machines. Second drawback is, I said you this point, right? ATM machines are very low. Minimum configuration 256 MB is more than enough for that, because there is only one application running there, nothing more than that. We don't install anything there. What is present? Only one application. What application? ATM machine. Lightweight. 256 MB RAM is more than enough for an ATM machine, because it will do only one transaction at a time. That's all. Clearer or not? Okay, it doesn't require multitasking or anything. Basic configured machine is okay for an ATM. It can do the job. But if you install a heavyweight component like a class there, a heavyweight component like your class there, it requires more resources now, more memory consumption and all. You're required to also increase the configurations of the ATM machine. So two problems you have. What is the first problem? Updations. When I need to update all the machines, maybe 10,000 machines there, maybe 20,000 machines there. All the machines has to be updated is the first problem. Second problem, you just required to increase the configurations because it is going to be a heavyweight component. Yes, guys, business logic is heavyweight component only. You know, the code in the business logic tomorrow will be thousands of lines. Thousands of lines of code will be there. You write a lot of logic, conditions and all. Oh, lots of coding will be there. 5,000, 6,000 lines of coding will be there. Heavyweight. Heavyweight components installing on the client system is not at all going to be a good option. But if I don't install this on the client machine, application doesn't run. Did you understand? Problem is, if you don't install, application runs. Application doesn't run. Sorry, not problem. Requirement. What is the requirement? If I don't install this on the client machine, application will not run. Problem, if I install, performance issues, maintenance issues, all these things will come now. Did you get my point? This is the place where interfaces comes into action. This is the place where interfaces comes into action. Are you getting my point or not? So what is the interface going to do now? Listen. Actually, guys, watch it. You are capturing it by using a customer reference. But this class is not there on your machine. Can I do this? Can I do this? without using customer, can I use object class? Yes, I can use. Why? Because object is a parent, and we learned in the third rule of inheritance, child instance can always be assigned to parent. So is that code valid? Valid. That's valid. You can do it. But what is the problem? Parent reference can access, parent can hold the child reference, but cannot access child class methods. Capturing will be done, but you cannot call the deposit method. You cannot call the withdrawal method. You cannot call any method. Method won't work. Did you get my point or not? Already said you number of times. What is that? Parent can hold the child reference, can hold, but cannot call pure child class members. But it can call overridden members. But tell me, deposit, withdraw, funds transfer, balance inquiry, all these are overridden members. They are not overridden members. Are they declared in object? No, they are not overridden members. Now tell me, using this R1, can you call any of these methods like deposit or withdraw or funds transfer? Not possible. Why not possible? All these are pure child class members. Is it clear? So compulsory what you require? Object class or customer class? What do you require? Customer class. But installing the customer class on the client system, I have problems. Already discussed it. Okay. Now how to resolve this problem here? This is the place where interfaces comes into picture. Look, what to do? When you're going to write a class like this, before writing this class, follow one rule now. What rule? The rule is whatever methods you wanted to define in the class. Come on, what methods you defined in the class? Tell me. Not balance here, get balance. First method is get balance. Second, third one, fourth one, 4 methods. But still you will write more methods now. Whatever methods you want to define in the class, first declare all those things in an interface now. Declare all those things in an interface like this. Public interface iCustomer. Public interface iCustomer. And come here. You're implementing the iCustomer. Last class you learned all these points. Okay now? Now what you do? All these methods, declare them in interface, guys. The first method. What is the first method? Get balance. No need to write public. Remember now? Public is not required. Second method. Third. Bool deposit. Four. Bool funds transfer. Declare everything here first. After declaring, implement in the class. Okay, this is a rule. To develop distributed or I said you remember, more than 3 computers, we call this a 3-tier or entire application. Already clarified here. In simple words, we call them as distributed applications. In simple words, we call them as distributed applications. And guys, remember, if you want to build distributed applications, you need to follow this rule for sure. What rule? Whatever methods you want to define in the class, first declare them in the interface. Is it mandatory, sir? Yes, it is. Yes, it is mandatory. But what is the use? I'll tell you. Now, understand me. Is the interface lightweight or heavyweight? Louder. Lightweight. Why? Even 100 methods are there, also 100 lines of code. That's a lightweight component. That's why, see, to make it lightweight only, public keyword, abstract keyword, all those things are eliminated from interface for you. Did you get my point or not? To make it lightweight only, that public keyword, abstract keyword, all these things are eliminated for you from there. From that list, they are eliminated. They are lightweight. They're completely lightweight components. Understood or not? Is it clear? So they're all lightweight components basically. They're all lightweight components basically. Okay. So fine. These are lightweight. Next. What is the next thing? So they're lightweight components. This is fine now. Now, another important thing, tomorrow, if you make any modifications, you'll modify the signatures of the method or logic in the method. Logic in the method. Signatures of the methods won't change. What will change? Means frequent changes will not occur in the interface. Agree with me? Frequent changes will not occur in the interface. Agree with me? So there are two advantages with the interface now. First advantage, lightweight. Second advantage, no frequent changes. Okay. Now, what you do, install the interface on the client on the ATM machine. Here, we install the lightweight components. Install what? We install the lightweight components. What are those? UI and interface. Are you clear? Now guys, answer my question now. The interface is present on the client system. What is the name? iCustomer. Can I do this? Tell actively, yaar. Why you say lazily? Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. Why? Parent. It is a parent. Now tell me, using R1, can I call the methods? Using R1, can I call the methods? Yes. Why? Overridden, not pure child class. Now they are overridden. If I capture it an object, pure child class. But if I capture an interface, overridden. See, understand. One way object R1 is equals to this one. Using this, can I call the child class members? No, you can't call. Why you cannot call? There is parent only na. Parent can hold the child, but cannot call pure child members. Don't say cannot call child members. Cannot call pure child members. But here, can I call the child members? Yes, I can call. Why? Parents can hold the child, but can call overridden members. That is why I said you first declare them in the interface and now write them in the class. Suppose in the class you have any method not declared in the interface. You have any method not declared in the interface, then that is not accessible to you through R1. Did you catch my point or not? In the class, you written another public method here, another public method, but not declared in interface. And I cannot call it by using R1. Okay. So first, the process will be like this. What is the ATM machine. Okay. This is the ATM machine. Okay. Now in the first step, customer 1 came, swiped the card. The card read machine read the customer ID. Okay. And sends to reads customer ID and sends to application server. What will application server do? Creates a instance, and a reference of that instance is sent to client. Are you clear? What is step 2? Tell me. Application server creates the instance and sends a reference to that, reference of it to ATM, client machine, ATM. Okay, what are you doing now? Capture that reference under what? Under the interface. What is that? iCustomer variable to make it reference. To make it reference. This is how you do it. iCustomer R1 is equals to capture the customer reference written by customer. Okay. Next, step 4. What's it? Using the reference. Now call methods of customer class. Customer class. That is the process. Is it clear? Now our application is perfect. In earlier, our application is not complete, but now it is complete. Now this is complete. So what is the first step? The first step is you require to declare an interface. First step is to define a interface and declare all the methods you want to define in the class under the interface. Step 2, define a class, implement the interface and write the logic for all of them. Finally, what you do? Install the UI and interface on the client computer. Install the class on the application server. Install the tables on the database server. So once everything is done, what happens? Client comes to ATM machine, swipes the card. Machine reads the customer ID, sends to, come on, open, application server. What application server does? Create an instance and sends the reference. How is it captured? Under interface variable, capture under interface variable to make it as a reference. Now use that reference and start calling your methods and your application runs now. That is the complete flow. Any doubts? Understood about the advantage of the interface? Two reasons. Okay. Two reasons why, the two advantages of the interface. The two advantages of the interface. What are the two advantages of the interface? One, it will help in holding the class reference on the client system. It will help holding class reference on the client system. Are you clear? Second, you can look into the interface to know what are the methods in the class. Array, class is on a remote computer na. How do I know what is present in that class? Did you catch my point or not? How do you know what is present in the class? Some methods are defined in the class. I don't know what is the, did I write the code? I'm a customer here. I did not write the code. How do I know? Looking into the interface. Once you look into the interface, you come to know what methods are defined in the class. Is it clear or not? What is your question here? Any new method added in the interface? If any new method added, you require to update the interface. You require to update the interface. But frequent updations won't come in the interfaces. One thing I'm trying to tell you is frequent updations won't come in interface. 100% no updation, zero updations, not there yet, not possible. Do you have anything 100% which is perfect? Tell me. Even you just see any medicines or anything also, they don't give you 100% guarantee. Are you clear? 99% only, that is guarantee. Have you watched the ads that are shown for hand wash? Did you notice the ads in the TV? You notice that ad clearly? Before and after, he will show two images. When he shows the after, did you notice it? At least one germ will be on that. Go and see anytime if you want. Not only that, the papers or anything. Why? 100% nothing is guaranteed. Here also, sir, interface lightweight installed, no updations in the future. I can guarantee, but 99% frequent changes will not occur in the interface. 1% changes are there. Interface also can have change. If interface changes, you need to update all the ATM machines. But one thing, lightweight component doesn't take much time to update. Why? 100 lines, 50 lines of code doesn't take any much time to update. But when you come to class, it is going to be heavyweight component. It takes a lot of time to update. That is the reason why I'm telling you don't put classes on the client machine. What to put on the client machine? Interfaces. We call this interface as a proxy to the class. We call the interface as a proxy to the class. Tell me in English, what is the meaning of the word proxy? Open the mouth and speak louder here. You cannot talk now. What will you talk in interviews? I don't know. You are whispering in the mouth. Louder. In English, what is the meaning of the word proxy? Proxy means, I'm not talking about C sharp. I'm talking about English, that's all. It's not duplicate. It's not a duplicate. Proxy means representative. He's a representative. What is that? Say, you purchased some land in your home place. You're working in Hyderabad. You purchased some land in your home place. And tomorrow there is a registration scheduled. But unfortunately, you are not able to attend for the registration. And on behalf of you, can your father go and complete it? Tell me, on behalf of you, can your father go and complete the registration? Yes. Why no? Yes. Selling is not possible. Purchasing is possible. He cannot sell on behalf of you, but he can purchase on behalf of you. Purchase, you don't have any loss. So that is okay. But if you sell without your permission, tomorrow you can put a case without my permission, he sold. But can you put a case on your father without my permission, he purchased for you? That is your profit. You don't do that. So purchasing is possible. So who went to the registration now? The father went to the registration on behalf of you. He is called as your proxy. He is called as your proxy. He is called as your proxy. You want to sell a property, compulsory owner should come, guys. If you want to purchase a property, owner is not mandatory. On behalf of the owner, any of the blood relation can go and sign and complete that process. And the person who reaches there is called as a proxy. Means your father went there. Your father purchased on behalf of you, not for him. Your father purchased for you. But he signed on behalf of you. Means he is your proxy. He is your representative. Did you understand my point? Yes or not? Now see, what did I say? Interface is a proxy to the class. Actually, class should come to the client, but class is not coming. What is it sending? Interface. And now interface works on behalf of the class. On behalf of the class, what is working on your machine? Interface. That is why I said it is a proxy and it will help us in two ways. What the first one? First thing is, it will help you know what is present in the class. If you look into the interface, you will know what is in the class. Okay, now, second thing, it will help you in holding the class reference on the client computer so that you can call the methods of the class. These are the two benefits what the interface provides to you. Any more doubts to anyone? Any confusions? Clearer? Are you clear with each other? Last day in the video, I demonstrated you what is the need of abstract classes. Practical implementation has shown you. And today, I just said you what is the need of interfaces. What is the need of interfaces and where exactly do we use the interfaces in the application development. Interfaces are very, very important if you are building distributed applications. In all distributed applications, these interfaces will be present for sure. Okay. Well, guys, I made some changes to this code and I will update this on the server. What is our crash? This one? This one. Yeah. So this is all about the interfaces. Next topic in our pipeline is structures. The next topic is structures. We learned about classes. We learned about interfaces. And the next one is structure. What is a structure? This is also a user defined type like a class and interface. Is also user defined type like a class and interface. Now, if you observe the correct difference between all these three, listen, you take a class, maybe an abstract or a non-abstract, but simple words class. And a class can contain both non-abstract and abstract members. Correct or not? If a class is abstract, can contain both the two things now. And what about interface, guys? Can contain only abstract members. No chance to place non-abstract members now. Now come to structure, guys. When you come to structure, guys, can contain only. There is no chance of defining abstract members in a structure at all. There is no chance of defining a abstract members in a structure. Structure is somewhat similar to non-abstract class. Structure is similar to what? Non-abstract class. Do you remember? Non-abstract class can contain non-abstract members only. Okay, but there you can make it abstract and define abstract also. But there is no chance for a structure to declare abstract. A structure contains purely non-abstract. Did you guys understand the difference between all the three? Come on, fast. First one can contain both abstract and non-abstract. Second one can contain only abstract. The third one can contain only non-abstract. That's the difference. Okay, now here we'll have a doubt here. What is the doubt? So structure can contain what's a non-abstract. This is equivalent to a non-abstract class now. Alright, this is equivalent to a non-abstract class now. Then the big difference, the big doubt that comes in the mind, sir, what is the difference between a structure and a class then? Are you clearer or not? So what is our question will be? Class versus what the difference is? What is the difference between a class and a structure? Okay, guys, concentrate, all of you. Look at this. The first difference between a class and a structure is class is a reference type and structure is a, this is the first difference here. Class is reference type, structure is value type. So what is the second difference here? Memory allocation for class instances is performed on, you already learned now? Reference types are stored on the heap memory. Okay. So automatic memory management feature is enabled through garbage collector. Automatic memory management feature is enabled through garbage collector. Are you clear? What is it? Unused objects are going to be destroyed by the garbage collector. Okay, whereas memory allocation for what? Structure instances is performed on stack. So there is no guys, we don't have an automatic memory management feature now. We don't have a automatic memory management feature now. Are you clear? Which one is faster? Class or structure? Structure, not class. Structure. Why? I already clarified this point to you. Do you remember that? Stack and heap. Which one is faster? I said to you. If stack is faster, structures are faster, not classes. Okay. Management feature, but faster when compared to classes. They're faster when compared to classes, guys. Okay, now third difference. What is the third difference? Remember, we use classes for representing entities. Remember, entities are classes. Correct or not? We use classes for representing the entities, but not 100% right. Not 100% right. Means, listen. We use classes for representing entities with larger volumes of data. Larger volumes of data. Whereas we use structures for representing entities with did you catch my point? Both can be used for representing entities here. If you recollect, in C language, we don't have classes. Then how did they represent entities? Structures only. But when you come to C sharp, both are there. Na? So what is the suggestion? Larger volumes of entities are there, means classes. Smaller volumes are there, means structures. Okay, you have a live example for that also. What is that example? All fixed length types in our language are structures, and all variable length types in our language are classes. You notice here fixed length types. What's it? Byte, the least one. GUID, highest. How much? 32. 32 guys. That is only the highest value. What is the highest? 32 bit. GUID. One is the least, and GUID is 32 is the highest. Up to that extent only they defined structures. More than 32, they did not use the structures. What they used? Classes. Example, string. I said string str is equals to 1000 characters. How much memory, guys? 1000 bytes. If these 1000 characters are Hindi characters, 2000 bytes. 1000 bytes, 2000 bytes of memory, they never used structures. Why? If they use structures, that goes to stack. Stack has a drawback. No automatic memory management. You need to wait until the execution of the program is completed. Got the point? So that's why in those scenarios, what they used is classes. Smaller volumes. They used what? Structures. See, for point number 3, point number 4 is an example. Read the two things carefully. Are you clear? So point number 3 is telling what? Smaller volumes, structures, larger volume classes. And now 4 is an example now. Wherever we have fixed and smaller volumes, all are structures. And variable length types, a string, object, all these are classes. Because they are not smaller volume, they are larger volumes. Is it clear? Now, how do you define a class? Class, name of the class. Structure is also same, guys. Both are same. Only thing is, we use a struct keyword. Okay. Unfortunately, in our project, we don't have any template to define a structure. We have a template to define a class. We have a template to define an interface. Was class we used it, but we don't have any template to define a structure. Then how to do that? Either add a code file. Code file, you can write whatever you want now. Add a code file into it. Or otherwise add a class and change the class keyword to struct. Did you understand my point here? Add a class, guys. Add a class. Or a code file. That's your choice. I'm adding a class. Name my struct. What is the name? My struct. Here, if I change to interface, it's an interface. Here, if I change to struct, it is a structure. That's all. No difference, guys. Understood or not? Say, I'm leaving it class only. Just a minute. I'm writing a method. Public void display. Console.writeLine method defined in a class. Static void main. Create the instance. My struct s1 is equals to new my struct s1 dot display console dot readline. Console dot readline. And it's a normal class. That's all. There is nothing to understand there. It's a simple class with a simple method there. Run, you get the output. Yeah, method defined in a class. Now see, I'm going to change this to struct. Okay, just a second. And all of us know that. What is that? I need to create an instance by calling new keyword. If I don't use this, this will give you error. What error? Uninitialized local variable, yes. Yes or not? We get an error telling you use of X is not in S is not initialized. So compulsory, I need to go for creating a instance by using new keyword and run this. Okay. Now see, I'm changing this struct class to struct. And here also. No difference here. You'll get the same thing. Only thing is earlier memory is allocated on the heap and now the memory is allocated on the stack. So your other point of view, both will run in the same way now. Clearer or not? And see now, the way you are creating the instance is also same. The way you are creating an instance is also same. Now I'm writing my struct yes. I'm writing what? My struct yes. So I'm just going to write my struct yes and run the code. This is the fifth difference. What is that? New keyword is mandatory for creating the instance of a class and new keyword is optional for creating the instance of a structure. Did you understand me or not? What is that? New keyword is mandatory for creating the instance of a class. And in that process, you need to call some constructor of the class. New, and as I said you, that is called a constructor calling now. Which constructor should I call? Default or parameterized? I should call some constructor of the class now. But when you come to a structure, new keyword is optional to create the instance of the class. And if you don't use new, it will use default constructor for creating the instance. Which one? Default constructor. Okay. Now see the fifth difference. What's it? New keyword is mandatory for creating the instance of class, and in that process we need to call any of the existing constructor of that class. We need to call it compulsory. We need to call it any constructor, your choice, default or parameterized, but you need to call. Okay. Whereas new keyword is optional for creating the instance of structure, and in this case it will invoke what? Default constructor for what? Instance creation. Okay, for creating the instance of structure, and in this case it will invoke the default constructor for instance creation. Are you clear? And one more thing possible, and it is still possible to use new and call other constructors available. Read that carefully. So did you understand the point? Simple, yaar. You want to call default constructor, no need new. You want to call default constructor, no need new. No. I want to call a parameterized constructor, use new. But in a class, to call default constructor, to call parameterized constructor, for both new is mandatory. Am I right or not? For a class, to call a default constructor or to call a parameterized constructor, new is mandatory. But when you come to structure, to call default constructor, new is optional. For calling parameterized constructor, new is mandatory. Okay now? Next. Every class contains what? An implicit default constructor if not defined with any constructor by the developer. Did not define any constructor. Do we have an implicit constructor? Tell me. Whereas if the developer defines any, then there will not be implicit default anymore. You already know that. When you come to class, if you don't define only, it will define. If you define, it won't define. Yes or not? Okay. But in structures, there will always be implicit default constructor, and a developer can define only. Did you catch that? Read it. Okay now? Yes or not? So the point I'm trying to tell you is, when you are talking about a class is very flexible. What is the flexibility? It will tell you, define a constructor of your choice. Define a constructor of your choice. I don't have a problem. Okay, you can define. But if you don't define, compiler will say, don't worry, I will write for you. So two options here. Either you can define or compiler defines. But structure is very, very restricted. What said? Structure tells, I already have a default constructor. If you want to add, what you can add is only parameterized. Is the point clear, all of you? What is that? I already have a default constructor. If you want to add, what you can add is only parameterized. You cannot add a default. Clearer or not? Okay, so this is about the structure. Okay, still we have. So what I said you, my struct yes, you right, or my struct yes is equals to new my struct. Both are same. Both are same only. Okay. Now guys, have a look. Shit. Have a look. I'm trying to show you this. What here? I'm declaring a field. Int x is equals to 100. I'm declaring a field. Int x is equals to 100. Now here I'll come now and I'll say plus x. Run. I'm getting an error. I'm just going to get an error in this case. Okay. So I'm just going to get an error in this particular context. So why am I getting this error? Why am I getting an error in this scenario? Actually, I'm initializing with a value like 0. Then also I'm just getting this particular error. What did they say is, listen. What did they say is, up to C# 9, we have a problem here. What is the problem? The problem is, you cannot initialize fields. You cannot initialize the fields of a structure. You cannot initialize fields of a structure. You can't initialize them. Means what you can do is only declare them. What you can do is only declare them like this. You can only declare them, run the code. Now see, when I did not initialize, it's working. Are you clear? Who initialized it? Default constructor initialized with the value 0. Default constructor initialized it with the value 0. Are you clearer or not? So up to C# 9, when you declare variables like this in a structure, with initialization, error comes. But in a class, we don't have any restriction like this. In a class, we don't have any restrictions like this. Does a class have a restriction like this? No. Did you catch my point? Does a class have any restriction like this? No. Class doesn't have any restriction like this. But structure has a restriction. What restriction? You can declare fields, but you cannot initialize them. You can declare fields, but cannot initialize them. Class is not like that. Your class is very flexible. What it tells, you declare, you initialize, do whatever you want. But structure is telling you can only declare, but cannot initialize. Point clearer or not? Understood me? Okay. Well, just a second. Can I define a default constructor in a structure? Can I define a default constructor in a structure? Already said you know. Already there you can define. What you can define is only parameterized. Now, I'm going to write a parameterized constructor here. I'm going to write a parameterized constructor. Public my struct int x. Public my struct int x. And I'm writing this dot x is equals to x. This dot x is equals to x. Okay. And now you observe all of you. I'm going to create one more instance now. What's it? My struct S2 is equals to new my struct. All of you can observe, you have two constructors, observe it. You defined one only, but you have two. Why? The implicit default constructor plus explicit means structure will have implicit and explicit also, but class can have either or, either implicit, both will never be present. Okay. So now can I pass a value here? I'm passing. What is the value? 20 is the value what I'm passing. So what happens now when you run this? Oh, I did not call the method, guys. S2 dot. Are you clearer or not? Understood? Now see, I'm just saying is equals to 0. Earlier when I said is equals to 0, I got an error, right? Yes or not? Now I'm saying is equals to 0, but the code got executed. But the code got executed. What is it is? In 10.0, they added a feature. What is the feature? You can initialize the field. You can initialize the field, provided you have a parameterized constructor. No use here, no use special. Until 9.0, declaration used to give error. Until 9.0, declaration with initialization used to give an error. But in 10.0, they modified. What they modified? You can initialize a value, provided you have a parameterized constructor in the code. Provided you have a parameterized constructor inside of your code. Suppose I'm initializing with the value 10, initializing with the value 10, and that 10 is not used by the default constructor. See, default constructor won't use the 10. So that's why, even though you do it also, no use. In 9 and 10, one thing is, why they made this difference is really not known, but behavior is same. What is that? Declaration time, initializing the fields is invalid. That values won't be taken into count at all. That values will not be taken into count. Are you clear? Yes or not? Then how to initialize them, sir? How to initialize? You can declare, but you cannot initialize. How to initialize? One way to initialize, constructor. Watch it. Watch it, all of you guys. This constructor is initializing with the default value 0, and this constructor is initializing with the value 10. Are you clear? Another way you can initialize is, another way you can just initialize is like this. My struct S2. Can I create an instance like this? Forgot already, huh? Yes, na? You can initialize it like this. S2.x is equals to 10. S2.display. So finally, what I want to tell you now, in structure, you can declare fields, but you cannot initialize them. You cannot initialize them. In 10.0, initializing is possible, but that value won't be used anywhere. Initialization is possible, but that value will not be used anywhere. You can observe it. I'm initializing it with a value of 5. Did it use that 5 anywhere? Check. Then when I don't use the value anywhere, then what is the point of initializing that? Did you catch my point or not? So 9.0, until 9.0, what is available? That is only correct feature. What is that? You can declare, but you cannot initialize. But what about a class? In class, you can declare, you can initialize also. Okay, now? Now how to initialize fields of a structure? 2 ways. 1, constructor. 2, instance dot. Are you clear? And these two options are available for class also. These two options are available for class also. Now can you understand in how many ways can initialize a class fields? Louder. 3. Declaration you can do. Constructor you can do. Instance dot you can do. Structure 2. What is it? Constructor with instance. Declaration not possible. Point clearer all of you? Yes or not? Okay, so that's what. I'm telling you that only in initializer through constructor. You're again telling, but it is also initializing through constructor. I've said you that also. Constructor initialization is possible. I said you already. Okay, but declaration time initialization is not going to be possible here. Declaration time, if you try to assign a value, that is not going to be taken. But in class declaration time, if you give a value, constructor will initialize with the same value. Correct or not? In classes, I explained you. But when you come to structure, it won't. But when you come to structure, it won't. You're explicitly assigning here, not through constructor. You're assigning it a m2 dot x is equals to, this is the second option I said. Listen to class carefully first. What is the first option? I said you constructor. Second option, through instance you can initialize. I said you. This is the second option. That is not constructor. You're initializing it separately by calling m2 dot x is equals to 10. Okay, and you can do all these things with class also. Okay, other difference also I said you. What's it? Class can contain implicit constructor or explicit. Yes or not? Either or. Anything mandatory? No. But when you come to structure, what did I say? Implicit default is mandatory. Why, sir? Why is it mandatory? Because it is giving a chance to create an instance without new keyword, and at this time it will call you default only. If you want to create an instance like this, what is mandatory? Default is mandatory. That is why in a structure there is always an implicit default. What you can define is only parameterized. What you can define is only parameterized. Parameterized constructors only can be defined by you. Okay. Now can you answer this question? In a class, I defined 0 constructors. After compilation, how many constructors will be there? Louder. 1. In a class, I defined 0. After compilation, 1. In a class, I defined n constructors. After compilation, how many constructors will be there? Louder. N plus 1. N only. Why got plus 1 again? If I define a constructor, implicit won't be there. Don't talk about plus 1 now. N only. If you define n only. In a structure, I defined 0 constructors. After compilation, 1. I defined n constructors. After compilation, n plus 1. That's what I already proven you there. After compilation, how many? N plus 1. Clear? Okay. So that is the other difference what we have. Next. Listen guys. Last day when I explained interfaces, I said you, inheritance is 2 types. Implementation inheritance, interface inheritance. What is implementation inheritance? Class inheriting from a class, implementation inheritance. Class inheriting from an interface, interface inheritance, which provides reusability. Implementation, interface, tell that. Implementation inheritance provides reusability, but interface inheritance doesn't provide reusability. Are you clear? Already explained you in the last session. Understood now? Now come to structure. Structure supports only interface inheritance, doesn't support implementation inheritance. What is that? Structure supports only interface inheritance, but not implementation. Means a structure can inherit from a interface, but cannot inherit from louder. Why class here? Structure only na. Class can inherit from class. Then you should say structure from structure, not structure from class. Are you clear? That is one. This is one. 2 separate things. Class can inherit from class. Class can inherit from interface. Now come to structure. Structure can inherit from interface, but cannot inherit from a structure or class also. Reusability is not available for structures. Reusability is not available for structures. Finally, what I want to conclude you here, why are we not using structures in our code? Because that doesn't support inheritance. Structure supports polymorphism. Sorry. Structure supports encapsulation. Tell me. Yes, no, wrapping. We have wrapping here. Does it support abstraction? Yes. Yes. Why? Methods are there now. Encapsulation supported, abstraction supported. Does it support polymorphism? Overloading. Polymorphism. Yes, now overloaded constructors you saw now when you're telling no again. You just now saw overloaded constructors now. So yes or not? So supporting encapsulation, supporting abstraction, supporting polymorphism, but doesn't support inheritance. Because it doesn't support inheritance, it doesn't satisfy all the principles of object-oriented programming. So if you use structures, your code is not pure object-oriented. Remember that. Are you clear? That is why, guys, that is why developer will never define structures in his code at all. Developer will never define structures in his code at all. He will never define. But unfortunately, we cannot escape from this. Unfortunately, we cannot escape from that. What we cannot escape? We cannot escape from the predefined structures. Predefined structures. Okay? So the suggestion for you is don't define structures in the code at any point of time. Don't define structures in the code any point of time. Again, you're going against the rules of object-oriented programming. So what is the best thing is always classes. But one thing we cannot escape. What we cannot escape? From predefined structures. Let us use them, but let us not define more. Why it doesn't support inheritance, sir? Option is not there here. Option is not available. Why it doesn't support means, see, we have people vegetarian and non-vegetarian. He's a vegetarian. We ask a question, why you don't eat non-veg? That is your make. That is your tradition. That is your tradition. So structure is also same. It doesn't have inheritance supported. It doesn't have a inheritance supported. So we cannot argue like why it doesn't support. If inheritance is supported, why class came now? Structure only can be used now. Are you clear? Because structure doesn't have the flexibility. They introduced us classes telling you you have inheritance support also in the classes, making it fully object oriented. Okay. Now tell me, can I consume the structures? When you define a class, I said you can consume a class, 2 ways to consume inheritance, instance creation, 2 ways to consume. We saw that also. Now the question is, can I consume the structures? I defined the structure here. Can I consume it? Yeah, we can. How to consume? Only one option to consume. What is it? Instance creation. Already one thing clear for us. What is clear? Inheritance is not supported. So what do? Only instance creation. From where can you consume? Anywhere you can consume. You can consume from another structure. You can consume from class also. Check it if you want. Let me add a class. We'll name the class as test struct. Test struct. So it's a class. Now in this class, I'm writing a main method and I want to create the instance of the myStruct. We have 2 constructors here. If you call default constructor, display will print the value as 0. No, you want to give your own value? You can use the parameterized constructor initialize x now and obj.display has to print you the value as 50. Console.readline. See what I'm trying to tell you now, this is the first day and this is the last day I'm talking about structures. I won't talk about structures anytime in the code. Completely what I'm trying to tell is avoid. Is it clearer or not? What we depend is only on classes. Only classes. What we define also will be only classes. That is it. One day to understand about a structure, differences between the structure, and that is only the last example or the first example, anything last, that's it. No more discussions on the structures in the future again. Okay. You can consume it from a class. You can consume it from a structure also. You can consume it from a structure also. Same output. Clearer or not? Can be consumed from a class, can be consumed from structure. Is it clearer? Okay. So that's what. So these are the differences what we have between a class and a structure, guys. You read your notes is I printed the differences in a tabular format to you. All the differences between classes and structures. Go through them. If you have any doubts, let me know tomorrow. Okay, let's stop it here.